The drums reached the settlement at 0412. Ship time, not drums in the percussion instrument sense. Tobias had the word wrong at first. What the Kethver Mountain Confederacy used for long-distance signaling was a system of resonant stone pillars, struck with weighted mallets in precise sequences, that could carry encoded messages through solid rock for hundreds of kilometers. It sounded, to human ears, like distant thunder, rhythmic, deep, so low frequency it was felt more than heard, a pressure in the sternum rather than a sound in the ear. Tobias was awake before his communicator alarmed. His security officer, Sergeant Major Devora Crane, was already at the settlement perimeter when he arrived, standing with her field scope in the posture of someone who has looked at something and is deciding how to present it. "Report," Tobias said. She handed him the scope without preamble. The Mountain Confederacy warriors came from the northwest, out of the foothills, following a path that the pre-dawn light revealed only as a darker line against the dark slope. They were in a column of 4 abreast, disciplined and silent, their height and build distinct from the settlement Kethver. Even at distance, the mountain clans ran larger, generations of higher gravity, highland evolution, producing broader frames and denser musculature. Tobias counted visible banners, 12, each representing, his briefing materials told him, a sub-clan unit of the Confederacy. "I make it 500, Crane said, give or take. They've been visible for about 20 minutes, moving at a formal pace, not a combat approach vector." "No," Tobias agreed, watching through the scope. "This is ceremonial. Look at the formation. They're marching the way you march when you want people to count you." 500, Crane repeated, with the tone of someone who found the number professionally significant. "That's the complete honor guard of a Mountain Confederacy war chief," Council Speaker Vethmer said from behind them both. Tobias hadn't heard him approach. The elder stood in his plain morning robes, hands folded, looking out at the column with an expression Tobias couldn't fully read. "Tharval has brought everyone." "Is that?" Crane began. "Unprecedented," the elder said. "He has not come to carve us in 30 cycles. The last time, it was to collect his wife's body." The elder's voice carried no particular inflection on this. "He comes now because word reached him that the daughter of his house received for the first time an act of genuine kindness from another child, a child with no reason to offer it and nothing to gain. The Kethver of the mountains do not have a word for charity, because they do not have a concept of it as a thing separate from alliance and obligation. What your son did, giving his possession freely to a child of no clan, with no bond between them, does not have a name in their language." Tobias was quiet for a moment. "What do they call it?" "They are calling it," Vethmer said carefully, "an act of a very old kind, the kind that the founding stories speak of, from before the division between mountain and settlement, before our peoples separated." He turned to look at Tobias directly. "Your son has accidentally done the thing that 400 cycles of diplomacy could not." "He gave a little girl a compass," Tobias said. "Yes," the elder said, "that is what I mean." Eli had been brought to the perimeter by Crane's second, still in his sleep clothes, still smudged with yesterday's dust. He stood beside Tobias, watching the column approach with the expression of someone doing rapid internal calculations. "Is that because of me?" he asked. "Part of it," Tobias said. "Are you frightened?" Eli thought about it with the seriousness of a 9-year-old who has decided to answer questions honestly. "A bit," he said. "Are you?" "Yes," Tobias said. Eli nodded, apparently finding this useful. He took his father's hand, which was not something he'd done unself-consciously in about 2 years. Tobias held it, and did not comment. The column halted at the settlement boundary with a precision that spoke of long practice. A moment of complete stillness. 500 warriors, motionless, in the Then from the column's center, a single figure emerged, and walked forward alone. War Chief Tharval was exactly what the title implied. He stood well over 2 meters. His skin was deep charcoal, nearly black in the angled dawn light, and his ceremonial markings elaborate. Spiral patterns worked in white mineral pigment from jaw to shoulder. To the backs of both upper arms glowed faintly with a bioluminescent compound the mountain clans used for formal occasions. His eyes were the same pale silver as his daughter's, unusual in the deep charcoal lineage, inherited clearly from the same source. He scanned the assembled settlement faces with the systematic efficiency of a commander assessing a situation. He found Sivar in the front row. Someone had brought her. Tobias didn't know who, and for one unguarded moment, the warrior's face did something that Tobias recognized entirely. The specific undoing of a parent who has been afraid for a long time and sees that what they were afraid of has not happened. He composed himself. Then his gaze moved to Eli. Tobias felt his son's hand tighten slightly in. The war chief's translator, a settlement Kethfer, who had positioned himself carefully at the diplomatic midpoint between the two groups, spoke. The war chief of the Mountain Confederacy greets the settlement of Karvas and the visitors from the stars beyond stars, he says. We have come because a deed was done in this place that our people have not witnessed in 400 cycles. A child of another world, with no clan and no bond and no reason, saw his daughter and sat beside her. He gave to her from his own hands. He asked nothing in return. A pause. The chief says, "Bring him forward so we may see him properly." Tobias crouched down to Eli's level. "That's you. They want to honor you. I'll be right beside you, every step." Eli swallowed. "What do I do?" "Stand straight. Look him in the eye. If he offers you something, accept it with both hands. That's the right gesture." I checked. "Okay." Eli squared his shoulders with the specific visible effort of a child deciding to be brave. "Okay." They stepped forward together. Sivar broke from the front row before anyone could stop her, running toward her father with no ceremony whatsoever, reaching him and wrapping all four arms around his leg and pressing her face against his knee. She was still holding the brass compass. The war chief's hand came down and covered his daughter's head, and he stood like that for a moment before his eyes came back to Eli. He spoke again. "The translator," he says. "My daughter told our messenger what the human boy gave her. She said it was his most precious thing. She knew, because he held it the way she holds things that matter. And still he gave it. The mountain clans have a word for things that are given without calculation. It means, offered from the true place. We have not used this word between our peoples in 400 years. Today we use it." He reached into his ceremonial armor and produced an object on a braided cord. Tobias's eyes identified it as stone, deep blue-black, carved into a shape he didn't have a reference for, but which was clearly ancient, clearly significant. The carving was so fine and precise, it seemed impossible to have been done by hand. The translator, "This is the anchor stone of the Vel lineage. It has been carried by the war chief's household for 17 generations. He names the human child Quetzalvar, one who acts from the true place. It means the child is of the Confederacy's protection, for as long as his name is remembered. No harm shall come to him in mountain lands. No mountain clan shall fail to honor him." The war chief knelt. Tobias had to remind himself to breathe. 500 Mountain Confederacy warriors. As one crossed their upper arms over their chests, Eli accepted the anchor stone with both hands. He looked at the war chief for a moment with the directness of a child who hasn't yet learned to look away from things that are intense. Then he said, "She was sitting by herself. Someone should have been sitting with her a long time ago." The translator conveyed this. The war chief was still for a long moment. Then, in accented but clear standard, "Yes, they should have." He looked at Council Speaker Vethmer. The settlement elder held that gaze for 3 long seconds, and then looked at the ground. "The Confederacy will camp at the northern pasture," the translator said, "for as long as the stars are bright and the old conversations need to be spoken." The chief says, "It is time." The column reformed and moved north in perfect silence. Eli watched them go. Then he looked at his compass, now in Sivar's hands. She was watching the column too, and she must have felt him looking because she glanced up at him with those pale silver eyes. She held the compass out toward him. Eli shook his head. It's yours. Keep it, say. Var held it against her chest with all four arms and looked at him the way people look at things they are still not sure are real. Tobias stood very still for a moment. Then he did what he had not done in 3 years, since the ceasefire and the long quiet grief after. He let out a breath that had been held for a long time, and felt something loosen.